checking the fit on the plates that I made. That's why this plate is bolted to, this is the 1/4 inch plate. This is why it's bolted to the block. I was double checking the fitment the other night when I made them. I think that was last night, the night before, I don't know. Alright, so again, this is all the 1/4 plate stuff. Nice beefy stuff. Pretty nice. I'm cleaning up the edges. To be honest with you, I don't have my plasma table dialed in very well, and it's partially because I really just haven't had enough seat time with it. I haven't been able to spend a lot of time on it and get it dialed in. There are a few good guys, Metal Assassins. You should check him out. He has given me a bunch of tips on that setup. He does a lot of great work. Check him out on Instagram, Metal Assassins. So, in the name of learning, and what I was talking about with my plasma table and not having it dialed in, can you see the cut angle that is on this part? See how it's cut? That is actually called cut angle when it comes to plasma tables. Honestly, I don't like it. It's trash. I could sand all that off. It's a bunch of excess work. It's not needed. And actually, if you look at this, I'm not sure if I can get this or not. If you look at this part, you can actually see there's a perimeter. It cut wide on the back side all the way around this part. You see that? I actually played around a little bit on the plasma table and cut multiples of these trying to get that dialed in a little bit. I only spent a few minutes and I didn't have a whole lot of material, so I didn't continue on to the point where I really got it dialed in, but I do know that I have better parts on the plasma table right now. So, take a look at a few of those and see if they're any better than these. Maybe I'll use a pair of those instead to make the other side. Nope. Oops. Nope. And no. So all these parts are equally trash, which kind of stinks. I dialed in my plasma table based on the settings, the manufacturer settings, feed rate, and amperage, and pressure, air pressure. And you see the garbage I got out of that. That is terrible. Well, either, for the moment, so I can actually get this accomplished, either look at this, this is trash. This was me playing around and I really set things wrong. The front side is even terrible, which usually doesn't happen. As you can see, there's even chunks missing out of that. That was actually a miscut from something else, but I was just trying to dial my settings in, so I didn't care that it was there. All right, so either I use some of the ones I already have, or I go back to trying to dial in the settings. And again, I don't have a whole lot of material. I only have so much 1/4 plate, so I may have to salvage these couple, which they're not terrible. I was just hoping there was something better. So we'll see. I guess I'm salvage these. All right. Turn those into something decent. A few minutes worth of work. I'll take that. There's a little notch out of it there, but I'm not too terribly worried about that. We'll re-drill these holes before we try to weld all this stuff together. Not too keen on that either now that I look at those holes. That's pretty rough. I might have to, in order to make sure that the drill bit goes straight through this, I don't know if you can see that. Long story short, let's see, yeah, you might be able to see that. It is way off center with the cut angle. So, I can fix this. I just have to do it manually. Something to know about these bushings, or any bushings for that matter, the hole that is through your bushing is absolutely the same diameter that needs to be used for any of your mounting locations, because the entire point of a bushing is to take up all the slack in the movement and isolate it so that it can be controlled. So if you leave slack in your mount hole, and the entire bushing can move around in there because the bolt is slack inside that hole, you've now defeated the purpose of your bushing. So, or your isolator. That's actually what I should be calling this. It's an isolator. So just know that if you're building some of this stuff, make sure you keep your hole sizes the same exact diameter as your isolators and bushings. Alright, well, last episode you seen I made these. I made them out of 11 gauge, honestly, just because of what I had. These would have been fine. This I didn't trust so much. However, I will say this weld along here makes this plate much stronger. What I'm worried about actually is right here in this tab on each side. The potential for flex right there with the engine torque it's definitely there. It's possible. Again, chances are these would probably be fine. I decided to beef it up a bit, and so everything's made out of quarter plate now. This has all been prepped to weld. I slot and tabbed these pieces this time so that it just falls right together, and of course what that does is dictates that both sides these would be placed exactly the same spot no matter the case, how I set it up. So that's what we're getting ready to do. If you noticed in my last video, as I was TIG welding where I fired up the torch, a bunch of sparks popped off of there. What that was actually the mill scale. I didn't prep that material nearly as well as I should have, which is why you see this is a little bit cleaner. I'm hoping that I don't get so much of that effect this time. There we go. Nice. I can get right along each side, along the front. This is nice and crisp, nice and well fitted. This is not the appropriate size bolt. However, I just tightened it up on the bushing that is for the inside of the entire engine. If any of you guys are wondering, my TIG setup is actually an AHP that I bought off of Amazon. Of course, it's like some Chinese version, and now, of course, I bought it like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. The thing was $650 delivered to my door. It had some consumables with it, not rods and whatnot, but it had cups, and a couple of cups, and a couple other things with it. Had all the leads, but the bigger thing was the capability it had. And to be honest with you, I don't use its capability. However, again, I used to do this quite a bit with on propellers, and I did use the capability. It's got pulse, it's got post flow, and it's got a whole bunch of settings. To be honest with you, I sound like an idiot right now because I haven't used any of this stuff in quite some time. But either way, point being, for the price point, it had a lot of capability out of it. It is the AHP Alpha TIG 200X. I do know that there is a newer version of that, and I have seen reviews on it that says it's even better. It's pretty easy or pretty cheap unit to get in with a bunch of capabilities. If you're just doing stuff like this, I don't know that I would use it for an actual legitimate shop. But anyway, that's the machine I'm using. All right, I will take that, but I will also bet that it is, as we speak, it is probably drawing in on itself. So I'm probably gonna have to open these up a little bit, but no worries, I expect it. All right, we get this little hot guy out of the way. It's pretty nice looking, I won't complain. Not terrible. I actually plan on probably picking up a household oven. Hopefully I'll get one as big as I can. And then also maybe like an Eastwood powder coating system or something, and I'm gonna be able to do small parts like this. So I do have an upstairs loft in my garage that is certainly not utilized as good as it could be. And so I really kind of want to set stuff up like that upstairs. So hopefully in the coming months, I will, oh, see that? It's tight. This is the one I just welded, of course, like 10 minutes ago. All right. Now let's do the same here. Weld all this up, and then these mounts will be done. They just need to cool off. I won't complain about that. Again, they're not the best. I don't claim to be. Not by any means. But I mean, you know, I'm getting better. So, those of course will mount to the engine block. I've only got a little bit of time this morning, so I'm probably going to wrap it up with this today. But, just showing, we've now gone to the quarter plate mounts. All right, so I did, in fact, I bolted this up, and I did, in fact, have to open up the tabs just a tiny bit, which was not a big deal. But now my bushing, with a little bit of effort, fits in there nice and clean. And now I've got to connect from the bushing itself, from the steel housing, to the frame. And later on, when I have a little more time, I'll come out here, I'll measure this, I'll drop some mounts for it. And see if we can't get some tabs cut for that. That's probably how we'll go. We'll just go right off the body of this with a couple of quarter plate tabs and right to the chassis. We should be good to go. Where I'm at right now is I will have my engine mounts landed once I get the new tabs made for the chassis itself out to the isolator. And then I've landed everything where it needs to be. And that's great because then I can rework this transmission mount and cross member. So what I realized recently is I need to make my transmission cross member bolt in and out because my transmission tunnel is going to be so close to the transmission that I'm not going to be able to put the engine in or out at an angle. So, and have to get over a transmission cross member with the tail shaft. So what I'm going to do is make that bolt out and in so that I can drop that out and the tail shaft will be able to drop towards the ground. And then I can put the engine in and out without affecting the sheet metal tunnel. So that is something I realized. I'm not so far that I can't salvage what I've got here. But honestly, my transmission mount that I made, or the cross member that I made so far, it wasn't a complete design. So I expect some trouble with it. But really what's going on right now is I have no bottom structure to it. So this wall and the front wall that the mount is actually on will kind of collapse on each other right now. I intended to put some plate in between. However, with this big U-shape cutout for the exhaust, there's no structure there, so that thing still is able to just twist. So I'm going to work on a little bit of stuff there, give some structure to that, and make it all bolt in and out. So I'm going to just revisit this whole design, and yeah, we'll go from there with it. All right, that's it for now.